SIBM Mentors. This is the session with all the folks from mighty SIBM Pune. आज calls आपकी out हो चुकी है. These are going to be your seniors. If at all you make it to SIBM Pune, and these guys are kind enough to kind of take some time out and come to this platform and share their knowledge with you. They all must have followed me during their preparation. Some of them must have joined us during their preparation, and here we are to help you guys. My first question will be थोड़ा जीई के बारे में बात करते हैं, अदर एसआईबीएम पुणे की प्रोसेस के बारे में पहले बात करते हैं, फिर हम जीई पे चलेंगे, फिर हम पीआई पे चलेंगे, राइट? सो एनीबॉडी हु वांट्स टू टेक अ लीड एज ऑफ नाउ कि लास्ट अभी तो थोड़ा चेंज हो गया इस बार, थोड़ा इमर्शन करके इमर्सिव टेस्ट वगैरह कुछ तो आया है. आई थिंक इट्स काइंड ऑफ जस्ट क्यूएनए, लाइक थोड़ा बहुत साइकोमेट्रिक लेवल. लास्ट ईयर इफ आई रिमेंबर इट वाज गेमिफिकेशन समथिंग. शांतनु तेरे टाइम पे, आई थिंक हर्षिता इवन आपके टाइम पे वो गेमिफिकेशन ही कुछ तो था. सो दैट इज नॉट देयर, इट्स अ डिफरेंट प्रोसेस ऑल टुगेदर. बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम गेमिफिकेशन क्या क्या हुआ था प्रोसेस आपके साथ? If you guys can tell me that one by one. Seniors to go first or juniors to go first?
I can go. I would say like it can go like from the past to the new ones.
Yeah, new ones. Yes. First of, yeah, go ahead. Good idea. Yeah, Shubhra, go ahead.
Okay. So, like I'm a second year student from SIBM Pune, like specializing in operations. So in our time, like it started with the process started with a gamified assessment, consisting of multiple small game rounds, not interactive, but multiple puzzles kind of thing, where it's not exactly evaluated, but it's tested like a kind of a psychometric on how you are able to think, because there is no right or wrong solutions to many of them. So how you are able to think, a kind of a unique psychometric test, which creates an interest from the student's perspective that it's something different from other colleges. That's a very unique thing that comes from a starting point. Once that is done, I am not sure like how it is done at the back end, how it is tested, like how it is scored basically. But after that, there is some valuation or some importance to that I am rest assured, because based on that assessment, the interviewers take something, understands like what kind of person the interviewee is basically. Post that, like the GE sessions, like again it's completely different from the other colleges IMs or other colleges. Like the group exercise, it's out of the box thinking, like given a few topic given and multiple pictures given, so you have to sort, like in our, like 2 years before, like you have to sort which thing goes into which bucket, and in that time frame it's you can't be prepared for it as such. So it's how presence of mind you can be unique, how you can be different, because there are all other competitors. Like I would recommend, like everyone comes from a same background, like everyone tries to follow the same line. If you are unique, then you stand out from the others. So that's a thing that I use from my time. I would like let the others share their experiences, like Harshita, Rajul.
Thanks, Shubhra. Thanks for that. Shantanu, how was during your time? Acha, Rajul, you want to go ahead? Go ahead, please.
I was just wanted to add how was the PI at my time. There were two panelists, and then during the panelist, both of them asked different varieties of questions. So whether you are a VARC student or a fresher, they ask different variety of questions to each of them. So if you are a VARC, they will grill most of on your VARC, and if you are a fresher, then they will be mostly asking about how much business acumen do you have.
True that. I hang okay, मेरे ख्याल से. Rajul, can you?
So some of them will. Yes, am I audible now?
Yeah, it's fine.
So some of them may ask only about the GK. Some of them will test you on your personality and confidence. Some of will drive the conversation with you and only will ask your opinion about something. They are not just asking about the conversation what you are having, but also the opinion on certain topics. So that's all from the PI side, and obviously GE is covered by Subrajyoti itself. So Harshita, do you want to add something else? You can go ahead.
Harshita, if you can tell me
Yeah,
GE
one
ka
more
topic.
perspective I'd like to put in GE is that, so
Hmm.
hello.
Go ahead,
So one
Harshita,
more
please go.
perspective I'd like to put in GE is that, so when I was giving
Hmm.
my GE, we were given a set of, hello, am I audible, sir?
Good. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So when I was giving my GE, I was
Hmm.
given a set of pictures, and based on that
Hmm.
pictures, we have to make sense of that picture and talk about it. So all within a
Hmm.
time frame they've given. So the pictures that
Hmm.
were given to us were people immigrating, and some of them in war zones and etc. So back then we were
Hmm.
having Russia and Ukraine war. So we made sense
Hmm.
of that and we talked about that. So essentially, it was a current affairs topic, but you have to understand which topic that is and have to speak about it.
Hmm. So,
So it was
isn't
a
there
bit
a
of brain
chaotic
game too
situation?
for our
Sorry to
GA.
interrupt. Okay.
So
Isn't
the
there a
topic was
chaotic?
not given directly.
Go ahead.
So, sure, sir, go on, sir.
I think there is a lag, so
So
sorry
the
for
topic
that.
was given indirectly, and we have to speak about it. But essentially, it's good to. Is it clear now, sir? I think it's the Wi-Fi issue.
It's good. It's okay. It's absolutely
I
fine.
think
Absolutely. Shantanu,
answering
you
to
want to
your
take?
question, sir.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, Shantanu,
Huh.
go ahead.
Yes, so I mean, last year we do not have any picture kind of thing. Straight away they gave us a topic, and most of those topic were related to current affairs. And
Hmm.
I mean, the panelists are very kind enough. Like if you are not able to speak in a GE, like they will give you a chance to speak. They will
Hmm.
have their time. I mean, you will have your time, but even if you're not able to speak, they will give the time to you. So, it is a pretty, you can say, chill process, because they are not there to grill you. They are just checking how good are you with, with communication and coordinating with a team. And also, there were few topics given to us, and we have to uh, come to a conclusion. uh, like five topics were given, and we have to select what would be the best case scenario, or what two things that we would select going forward. So this is something which was done last year.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
uh, to
Shubhra,
talk about my GD. Okay.
Acha, I think Shubhra was trying to answer the question that I was trying to ask Harshita, and he wanted to make a point. So I think Shubhra, if you can just get us clarity, क्या chaotic नहीं होता है क्या? Let's say there are students, सात आठ लोग बैठे जी में, एक picture दिखा दिया, somebody has interpreted something, X, somebody has interpreted it's Y and Z. So maybe clashes of thoughts might happen. So maybe leading into fish market or chaotic situation ऐसा होता है या होने की possibilities है. Or you guys discuss among yourself पहले बाद में जाके फिर you guys discuss it in front of the panelists. How does this thing happen?
Since like it was online,
So no,
first of all, chaotic,
Hmm.
little bit I would say there's a possibility things can go
Hmm.
haywire. Like you have
Hmm.
a mindset that you prepare, like there's a time frame given to for you to prepare, everyone to prepare, and you give a like there's a introduction speech or introduction phase as well. So after the
Hmm.
introduction is given, like when the like the it's when the GDG exercise is on, like
Hmm.
what you thought is not getting discussed and completely else is getting discussed at that point. So
Hmm.
it's up to the student to adapt to that situation and come
Hmm.
up with few points as well. So that's a very important aspect I would like to come up. But as Shantanu mentioned as well, like the like faculty members or the like the panelists who are there, like they try to help the people who are kind of lagging behind or is trying to speak but is not able to speak because of the kind of a fish market that it might get into. So
Sweet,
there is
yeah.
a possibility.
Sir, just wanted to add what Subrajyoti said. So
Hmm.
SIBM have a G and not a GD. So in the end,
Hmm.
everyone in the G panel have to come to a common conclusion, and that's what you are judged for. If everyone
Hmm.
has a different opinion, then whole as a group you will be on a disadvantage seat.
True. Exactly.
So
That's
one
what I
of the
wanted
things
to.
is, yes.
Hmm. That is exactly what I wanted to,
Right.
get out of you guys. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's a
And
valid
one more, just one more tip, that if every year the G process keeps on changing. So if you are on second or third slot, then please try to ask from the slot 1 people how was the GE, so that you can adapt and understand what is the GE process exactly in SIBM Pune. Though for my case it was for advantage, because in my panel nobody knows how was the GE process at that time. So I could drive my GE because I knew how was it is going to be. So that was advantage for my end, from my side at that point of time.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Parag, would
So
love
I
to
have
have your
one more tip to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Give that.
So I just wanted to add one more to Rajul's point. So my interview experience, I mean, my GE experience was that, so during my GE, I was only able to make 2 entries, but the rest of the GE, I was delegating the GE. Like if someone is not able to speak, I was letting them, you should let them speak karke. I was delegating the GE. I think that's one of the reasons why I got brownie points. Even though I made only 1 or 2 entries, I was able to delegate the GE. So to make sure that the GE is not a fish market, I think that's how I got a brownie point in that, I would say. Definitely it helped.
perfect. Yeah. Parag, over to you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So like the GEV which I got was like, as Shantanu mentioned, there were no pictures for us last year. We had a topic and it was like something related to free trade would impact which of the industries. So there were 4 or 5 industries mentioned, such as aerospace, automobile, textile, and all. And we had to decide the order of which industry would be impacted the highest to the lowest, and we had to back them with our points or the way we think. And like what we had was like there were 9 members, if I'm not wrong, and everyone had 30 seconds initially to speak about what is their order, and after that there was a open floor to discuss or like to listen to everyone and discuss what should be the final order. So what I would recommend is that you have to be a good listener to what the other people are also pointing the order as well, so you can maybe modify your order, or you can convince them about why you think that the order should be something else. And
Okay.
that would be a good thing in a G, I think.
आपको कंक्लूजन के लिए समय दिया था वन बाय वन हर एक को कि आप कंक्लूड करो करके.
No, I सिर्फ starting के लिए समय था. There was not a time dedicated that everyone can conclude. There was supposed to be just
Okay.
one conclusion for the entire group.
Okay, and one has to take a lead and conclude and done and dusted.
Yeah, like one can do that, and that obviously gives a brownie point if you just conclude that.
Perfect, perfect. Akshay, over to you, man. What was your experience
Yes.
with GE and
So in my G, it was different from what Parag told. We were given a topic. My topic was how India can become a cashless economy. And for this topic, we had some 4 to 5 questions, like what is the long-term goal, short-term goal, what are the strategies to achieve that, and the challenges. So as a group, we had to discuss all these points and then come to the conclusion.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Okay.
we had to
So
cover all these points and answer all those questions.
okay. How much time was given to do this? I mean, the actual discussion, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah, around 10 to 15 minutes, I guess. And initially, everyone was given 1 minute to talk, and then there was no separate time for conclusion. Anyone who took the lead concluded. I concluded it at the end.
Very nice. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we are now understood, what was asked to you all for a group exercise. Now let's have another segment, jहाँ पे we just talk about कि if anybody wants to do really good in GE and gain brownie points, the way Harshita did, by the way, what sort of techniques, tricks, tips, strategies you would want to tell these students which they should be applying while they go for GE? So maybe in next 2-3 minutes, we talk about this segment, how to get better at GE. Anybody can go ahead.
Okay, I'll
Okay, I
start.
can go
So,
first.
Um,
So one thing, remember that if possible, try to start a G. Am I audible?
यहाँ पे भी GE हो रहा है. Go ahead, go ahead.
Uh, okay. So try to make possible that you come first in your G, so that you will get a brownie point if you start the G first. And also in the conclusion, also if possible, you should conclude the whole G. And try to make sure that you are the one who are driving the whole G, so that you will come out that you are the one who is driving the G. Then something which also put a brownie point.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Sir, adding on to Rajul, I mean, you can start GE or you can end it. It's like you should not give many entries. I mean, you have to strike that perfect balance between how many entries you have to give, like 2 or 3 entries. That depends on the situation. Uh, so you should know that first of all. And as Hasita said, delegating a G is very important. I mean, if you are able to do that, you are damn sure gonna get the brownie points. So these two things are important.
And
Okay.
what also I
Sir, it is
feel is
very
that,
important to give
yeah,
relevant
yeah.
points.
Hmm.
It carries more weightage. And also, if the entire group is discussing and going out of the topic, and if I bring a point which has more weightage and people follow that point or support that, then the brownie points are given.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, Parag.
And what I feel is that you should also like keep a count of what the timing is. Suppose you are allotted 10 minutes, and you should
Hmm.
keep the count of the time. If like 7 or 8 minutes have passed, like what happened in my G was that we had to discuss the order among the five, and there was a entire debate about three or four, which should be on third, which should be on fourth, and we hadn't decided first, second, or fifth. So what I did was, like, when about 8 minutes were over, I said that, guys, we just have 2 minutes left. We need to discuss the entire order. We can further like consider any one of them at three or at four, and then we can move forward. So bringing the conversation back on the topic, as Akshay mentioned, is essential. But keeping a track of time and mentioning the exact time which is left, something like that, would also be a brownie point.
Perfect. Perfect. Now let's start with the another segment, which
Okay,
is
I
personal
have
interview.
2 more tips to say. Okay.
Go ahead, Arshita. All yours. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I have 2 more things to say, sir. One I would say is to be assertive but not aggressive. It's important to be highlighted, but at the same time shouldn't be shown in a bad lighting. Because if other people are speaking and you just cut them off and you try to make your points, you will never be, you will be highlighted but in a bad way. So don't do that. Be assertive but not aggressive. So and in some cases there'll be like 7, 8 people in a GD and it's very hard to make more points. So it's okay. Make 3, 4 strong entries and let other people speak. And if you have anything else to say, then you add on to it. Don't cut people off unnecessarily. I would say that, sir.
Fantastic.
Also, one small point, like the videos of each candidates are kind of on. So the panelists also check what you are doing while the others are speaking. So it's
Hmm.
important to listen to other points very clearly and not like maybe browse or other things. While the 2 minutes are given for those things, you jot down your points. And one like thing that can stand out from the others is if you have some numbers. If you have some relevant numbers or quantifiable things in a GD, then you are standing apart from all others. So you have
Hmm.
to you just get a minute or so ideally. So it's how you can stand out and create an impression on those panelists is a very important aspect. So if you have some important unique points, which is also like combining to the facts which others are discussing, then it adds a value to the GD. So a good GD is really like entertained and as well as like appreciated by the panelists. And one small thing, like during around 7 or 8 minutes, there is a warning given in the chat box that this 2 minutes left kind of thing. So if someone keeps a note of that thing and can conclude it like on time without it being exceeding or being later, plus minus 10 seconds is fine, but then that's a overall good thing for the group as well as a extra point for that individual person. So this is what I
Awesome.
feel.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. Now let's move ahead with the other segment, which is personal interview, because यहाँ पे maximum weightage होता है, and this is the final call कि भाई either you are in or you are out. So let's talk about your PI experiences. What sort of questions were asked to you during your personal interview, and then we discuss tricks and tips about the personal interview. Harshita, you can take a lead. You can go ahead and you can start talking about your PI experience. What are the questions were asked?
Okay, luckily Luckily, I was not asked any gender knowledge questions, so I lucked out in that department. But mine usually consisted of, walk me through your CV. Like, I'm an engineer, and then I worked in IT. So, why the change? Like, how did you do that? And after that, they saw that I was interested in books and everything. They asked me, what's the recent book you've read, and why did you like it, etc. etc. It was mostly the next questions that were coming up were based on the previous questions I was answering. For example, if I bring in books, they're asking what books are you reading? Like, what's your family background? Like, you're an engineer, why do you want to do that? Why MBA? Why SIBM? So these are pretty much HR blanks questions, or like standard questions stuff.
Okay. Nothing on the
That's it.
front of tell me about
And
yourself.
one,
Where do you see yourself?
no, sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so like the window was very small. Like there was only 15-20 minutes for me to answer the question. So I had to keep the answers crisp and clear. And like you are doing in the coaching sessions, point one, point two, point three, I was just following that. And luckily I was able to, clear it in the 20 minutes. They did not like long answers, but there's like short and crisp answers.
Hmm, 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 hmm. Perfect. Who wants to go next?
I
I'll
can
go
go
next.
ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, in my PI, the first question was tell me about yourself. That's a
Hmm,
standard one. Then why
hmm,
MBA? Why SIBM?
hmm,
Had IT work experience. So they asked me
hmm,
why I'm shifting to MBA, why I did not continue my job. They
hmm,
asked me a few questions about what project I have done during my job
hmm,
and what leadership I took during my job. Then
hmm,
I think budget was presented around that time. So I was asked questions about Indian budget, some in-depth questions, my analysis about that. Then in the interview I told I am interested about stock market. So they asked me in depth about stock market, something about technical analysis, fundamental analysis. It was like rapid fire round. They
hmm.
continuously asked the question, I went on answering it.
Nice.
So it was my experience.
Perfect. Parag or Shantanu, anybody?
Yeah, so I'll tell about mine was so like initially the first question every time is about tell me about yourself. So after that, my question like my profile was like that I just joined a big four company and the pay was decent. So they
Hmm,
asked me that why do you think that working like doing an MBA as a fresher would be beneficial for you rather than having 2 years of work ex and then having an MBA. So that was the question, why as a fresher you want to do an MBA? Then it was like, which
hmm,
specialization are you interested in? So if you have a clarity of which specialization you want, that is a good
hmm,
point. If you
hmm.
have clarity about a specialization, then also you should make sure that you know at least something about that specialization, that what job roles you could go into in future in that specialization.
Hmm,
And
hmm, hmm.
then like I was just a fresher, so they asked me about my major project in my undergraduation, and then they asked about what was your favorite subject in electrical engineering was my specialization. So they asked me about your favorite subject in electrical engineering, and then they told me to just explain any concept from that by myself. Like they didn't ask something but just asked me to
Bach gaya.
explain any concept I like from that. Yeah. So that was it, and there were some HR questions apart from that, like why
Hmm.
do you think MBA is essential for growth or something like that.
पर एक बात बता पराग, इट्स अ ट्रिकी क्वेश्चन कि फ्रेशर हो वर्क इसलिए कि
Hmm.
एमबी क्यों नहीं कर राइट हमने तो ये कवर करा था सिर्फ में लास्ट नो डाउट अबाउट दैट वी डू इट एवरी ईयर बट तेरा आंसर क्या था उस टाइम पे वो मुझे बता स्पॉन्टेनियसली आंसर क्या दिया था
So, like, my spontaneous answer was that doing an MBA would obviously mean a salary growth in my career. And
हम्म
with the family
हम्म
background I come from, the family conditions I am, I wanted to get stabilized as soon as possible. And leaving the job after 2 years and going for an MBA would mean that I won't have any earning in those 2 years. So I just think that I should complete my education in one go so that
हम्म
I'll have a stable life further. So that answer, I guess, worked for me.
I think that's being very honest about it
Yeah,
because
I was like very honest that see, everyone knows that most of the people do MBA to get a better package. So there
absolutely
is no harm in being very honest. Just don't make it very obvious that this is the only reason.
hmm
You
I
can
think
be
why
honest that you want.
go
Yeah.
ahead
You can be honest that you want a salary growth, you want a position growth in your career. That is why you are choosing to do an MBA. But you don't have to make it all about that only because of that you are doing an MBA.
No, so I was saying why it worked for you is because आपको job लगी थी and you were about
Hmm.
to probably start, or you might have started, and then
Hmm.
that angle towards money making, and then taking care of
Hmm.
family, those are the
Yeah,
gap,
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense, because when you start earning and then there is a gap, then it's little kind of a lost thing. I think उसकी वजह से वो उन्होंने तुम्हारी honesty को appreciate किया होगा. But yeah,
Hmm.
again, you don't have to really make it obvious कि मुझे यहाँ पे आके highest package लेना है, 50 लाख abstract वगैरह में जाना है.
Hmm.
Don't say that. But that's gonna backfire anyway. Coming back to you, Shantanu, what was your PI overall? क्या क्या पूछा था?
Yes. So my PI was totally
Hmm.
different from the traditional PI. There were no academic questions asked in the whole PI. So
Okay.
my first question started from that. I mean, in my CV, I had mentioned that I am
Hmm.
from Chandrapur, which is known as the Black Gold City. So वहां से उन्होंने उठा लिया कि Black Gold City क्या होता है. I mean, it is due to the coal deposit. So उसके ऊपर 5 मिनट चला. Then the second thing is that मैंने mention किया था कि I am a professional badminton player. So उन्होंने फिर वहाँ पूछा कि बैडमिंटन कैसे खेला क्या है. And one very, I mean, a question that was asked was that badminton, I mean, in a badminton shuttlecock, how many feathers are there? So ये ऐसा question उन्होंने पूछ लिया था. So this
Nice.
was it. Third question was, I have NGO experience. So like they asked NGO का है and everything about NGO. फिर at that time budget was released, yes. So
Hmm.
they asked me uh, a few questions about on budget. I don't exactly remember. And
That's okay.
fifth is like I also mentioned that I am interested in geopolitics. So they asked me what all wars are going on currently. Yes, sir, that's it. And I would like to highlight that my interview was about 15 minutes, and half of the time, uh, that panelist asked me about badminton, my badminton journey, how I am
Hmm.
coping up. I mean, I am still in touch with badminton, what rackets I use, what shoes I use, so everything.
Hmm.
So they were asking that.
So they
And actually,
basically.
my slot was, yeah, my slot was the last slot. I mean, after that there was a like say lunch break. So I think they were bored with all the academic stuff, so they did not ask me. Even I have a work ex of about 1.5 years. They didn't
हाँ.
even touch that point. कुछ भी नहीं पूछा
Hmm.
उसका.
No, actually they were trying to catch you. कि बैडमिंटन तो बोला है बंदे ने, पर बंदे को क्या जेन्युइनली सब कुछ पता है कि नहीं.
Yeah.
सो अगर तुम ऐसे निटिग्रिटी पे अगर खेलते हो तो समझ में आता है कि बंदा स्मार्ट है, टेल मी अबाउट योरसेल्फ तो बता ही देगा, एमबीए को करना है बता ही देगा. सो आई थिंक दे ट्राइंग टू कैच, एंड आई थिंक यू सक्सीडेड वेरी वेल. आल्सो आई थिंक तूने हुक्स बड़े अच्छे से यूज करे चंद्रपुर के बारे में वगैरह बता के. सो आई थिंक यू प्लेड इट वेरी
So yeah,
स्मार्टली.
yes, you told that
Thank
last
you.
year.
Thank you. I think that was a smart move there. I'm happy to know your entire
Yes.
interview. Shubhra and Rajul, you guys want to share your own experiences? क्या हुआ था, क्या पूछा था? Rajul, you want to go ahead?
Okay. So my interview started by asking my the meaning of my name. ठीक है. उसके बाद there are typical 3 questions they usually ask. First is why, which specialization you want to choose, why MBA, and why SIBM Pune.
Okay.
Other than that, since at that time COVID was there, so they were asking some situational based question related to COVID. For example, I was in manufacturing company, so they asked what were the 2 merits and demerits which are faced by manufacturing sectors due to COVID. And
Okay.
then they were also asking some follow-up questions on this. So basically most of the questions were the situation based questions regarding to my work experience. And in the end they also asked 2 3 puzzles. That's all from my end. So
Puzzles
Shruti,
या
you can add.
guesstimate?
Puzzles.
Puzzles था. Okay. Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Do you remember any of them?
uh, I don't
अभी 9
exactly
साल
remember one. नहीं. बट मतलब इजी पूछा था. हाँ, मतलब उसका आंसर ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ एक ही होगा, 2 3 आंसर हो सकते हैं, बट दे विल ग्रिल यू कि व्हाट इज द करेक्ट आंसर, यू आर नॉट सेइंग द राइट आंसर एंड ऑल. बट यस.
अच्छा. Okay. Yeah, Shubhra. Back to you.
Yes. So it's technically the time frame is around 10 to 12 minutes. It can most of the time exceed for a minute or so, but otherwise 10 to 12 minutes the interview goes on. Starts with the traditional tell me about yourself. While that's because while you are saying, tell me about yourself. The panelist kind of goes through the write-ups that we wrote, a few like in the SOPs that we kind of submit to the college. So I would like I use few techniques like as prepared, like how I can stand up, because tell me about yourself is just a normal answer that every most of them tries to give. So if you are unique to some extent, like asking, stating your meaning of your name, or like Shantanu mentioned, Chandrapur, like that's a unique part that's normally not there in everyone's tell me about yourself, then that catches attention. So it's about like I since I am a chess player, like that's a unique aspect, and I am like I have 3 years of work experience. So I use those as my strong points and try to articulate my interview over those portions, so that the panelists ask questions on those sections. And I was lucky enough that both the interviewers asked me about my work experience, and I was able to answer all of them, as well as chess and NGO works, like what kind of NGO works you did during COVID, like, and like how we were able to do, what were the risk factors, few questions on the specialization aspect since I was clear about my specialization. So basic, very fundamental questions about the specialization, and like very simple current affairs, like so that at that moment, since everyone is tensed, like asking who is the president, or generic, like who narrated the budget, since at that our time also the budget was released 2 years, like during that time, who released the budget, at what phase, like what is your thoughts on the budget, which sector has done good, like your opinion based. So it's kind of an interactive session. Grilling happens, but not to a very high extent. But if you are if confidence matters, like if you are confident enough to answer it, it creates an impression on the panelists.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
दो
also,
चीजें
if someone has, yes, sir, go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. No, no, please go ahead.
If someone having work experience, like whatever the like I am saying in the work experience section, the panelists use that as the next question. So they really want to know and have that eagerness to understand what actually you are, like uh, getting in details about your family as well in some cases, like in the freshers content, like I have seen multiple friends of mine also asking what their family background is, what they do on their hobby side, many aspects. So whatever is written on that, like submitted to SIBM or other colleges, like while the SOP part, the
Snapseed
person
form.
should be, yeah, the forms, they should be very clear with those, very in depth, like they can pick up any line and ask why is this so written. So I think that's an important aspect.
Perfect.
I just wanted to mention one more thing. Like, while talking about your hobbies, make sure that the hobbies you mention, you are totally thorough with what it is. Like, for example, I mentioned chess. So they asked me that how many squares are there on a chessboard. So my first instinct was to react as 64. But then they asked, "Are you sure?" Then I gave it a thought, and then I realized that okay, we have to talk about the total number of squares. Then I calculated and I told that okay, it is 204 actually. So these are some things which in your hobby they can ask a tricky question maybe. So you have to be prepared with your hobbies, like what tricky questions could be asked on your hobbies.
परफेक्ट परफेक्ट ऑलराइट मोटा मोटी दो चीजें मुझे कॉमन लगी बिकॉज यहाँ पे फर्स्ट ईयर भी है सेकंड ईयर भी है टू जनरेशंस बाय द वे एक बजट के बारे में पूछा ही जाता है बिकॉज वो सीजन ही आता है बजट का तो पक्का बजट के बारे में पूछेंगे उसके ऊपर ओपिनियन भी पूछेंगे एंड दोनों बैचेस में जो एक क्वेश्चन उन्होंने पूछा विच इज अगेन अ कॉमन थिंग apart from tell me about yourself and why MBA, they are more keen on understanding your specialization. That कौन सा specialization you want to opt, number one, and then probably narrow it down to what sort of industry or what sort of domain, what sort of job roles you are really keen on. So do you guys suggest कि ये चीजें करनी चाहिए बच्चों को because मोस्टली मैंने ये आईएम्स में देखा है ये उनका कल्चर होता है जहाँ पे दे वांट टू ग्रिल यू ऑन स्पेशलाइजेशन फिर इंडस्ट्री फिर कौन सा जॉब रोल चाहिए एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा तो डू यू थिंक ये करना जरूरी है एट टिल व्हाट लेवल ये करना जरूरी है एंड व्हाट इफ समबडी जस्ट से दैट कि सर मैं अंदर आके एक्सप्लोर करूंगा विल दैट बी टेकन एज अ गुड आंसर एनीबॉडी कैन गो अहेड
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so
The same question was asked to me about specialization.
Hmm.
I told them that I'm thinking of finance, but I'm open to all specialization. Once I come to college, I'll explore
Hmm.
it and then decide.
Hmm. Hmm. And there was no follow-up question on that. उतना ही था?
No, no, it was accepted.
Okay. Yeah, Parag, go ahead. You were saying something.
okay, so like what happens in SIBM is that you have to choose your specialization in the first year itself, like in the first semester itself. You just get
Right.
hardly a month or so to decide the specialization. So that is why
Hmm.
they are very keen on knowing what is your preference. And
Hmm.
while coming when you come to SIBM, there is also a psychometric test which also tells you that which specialization you are most suited for and all. So in my answer, I knew about that test. So in my answer, I used that I am confused between marketing as well as HR, and I am looking forward to the results of the psychometric test as well, and I'm open to other specializations as well. I don't have a fixed decision as of now, but I am inclined towards this, so that kind of answer worked for me.
Hmm. Very nice. Very nice. So finally, what did you choose?
Marketing, I am from marketing.
Perfect. Perfect. Shantanu, you want to go ahead?
Sir, I think everything is covered because this question wasn't asked to me that which
Hmm.
specialization you
Hmm.
are going to choose. Um,
Hmm.
but what I have heard from my friends is that they are just looking for the clarity. I mean, at
Hmm.
least you should have an inclination towards something. And they also know that, like, you're a first year student, you won't have that much knowledge about each specialization. After getting into SIBM, they have, I mean, each specialization have few lectures before selecting it. So that is something that would be done by the faculty members and the psychometric test. So they are just looking for a one inclination. That's it, I think.
Okay. All right. We are already in the 37th minute, by the way. I won't hold you back for a long period of time. What I want to quickly understand is now, although kids are preparing for interview, you guys know we've been there in SIBM Pune. आपको faculties पता है, culture पता है, you know the stuff. Quickly हमें बताओ क्या बोलना चाहिए, क्या नहीं बोलना चाहिए in PI and कुछ tips and tips for PI. If anybody, Harshita, you can go ahead with the first question. Yeah, please.
I think she's on mute.
I think lag है. ठीक है. Anybody else want to
Oh,
pick this up?
am I being
अच्छा.
called? Hello?
Yeah, you're right there. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes.
So the two of the tips I have is that during my interview process, they also asked me when they asked, what specialization do you want to take? I said marketing. They asked me what are the 4 P's of marketing. So it's always better to pick a specialization and prepare something about it so that they know that you're actually interested about it along with the current affairs. So
Hmm.
even though you're
Okay.
not sure what specialization you want to take, pick the easiest one. Marketing is the easiest one. Prepare something about it. Then once you get into the college, you can actually pick the one you want. But it's always better to have something so that they know that
Hmm.
you're serious about it. And mine was marketing. And they asked me what are the 4 P's of marketing.
So simple,
That's
na?
it.
Cool. Anybody else wanna take this up?
I would just suggest, like, since it's a very short time and you have
Hmm.
to be like, you have to be coming out of that personal zone space and be in the minds of their panelists. Be crisp, be clear what you want to show. Not being aggressive, being humble is a very good thing, I would say. Appreciate, like, firstly listening to what the question being asked. Take a 10-15 minutes, sorry, 10-15 seconds thought, and then answering in a structured format. I use the star method, like star framework, which I always like try to use, and also recommend my friends and other like juniors as well to use it. It's a very good framework. If the answers can be framed in those, in the star framework, all the, like, the structure is represented to the panelists and they really appreciate it. So being crisp as well as concise and using those kind of frameworks, I think, is helpful. And not being arrogant, like your behavior towards, like, how you are responding to it, not like I'm not too excited as well. Calm, composed manner is required while that.
Okay, next.
One thing I would like
Adding to
to
what Subrajyoti said,
yeah, go ahead.
so adding to
Go
what
ahead, go ahead.
Subrajyoti said, one of the most important thing is just be confident what you are speaking on. Okay, if you are having a work ex, be thorough to your work ex, because they are going to grill you a lot on your work ex, because they want to identify whether you really worked and how much you worked. So if you are a work ex person, then you should be thorough with your work ex. And if you are a fresher, then they will be asking you upon your knowledge and your opinions about certain business acumens. They are not just going to ask you something in current affairs, but they will going to ask you about your opinions on that current affairs, which is more
Exactly.
important.
Yeah, Parag was like,
Uh,
पहले senior को
so,
बात करने दो, बाद में मैं बात करता हूँ. Go ahead, Parag.
okay, so how is it like the interview is for like 12 to 15 minutes maximum, so they won't ask everything from you. Like they may ask GK, they may ask current affairs, they may ask budget, or they may ask your technical things. So it is very important that how you drive your own interview, like whatever you more emphasize in your tell me about yourself would be probably the next question based on. So that is very important to articulate your answer such that you include most of your strengths in that if someone is very good with current affairs, then you mention your current affair knowledge in the tell me about yourself, so the next question would be based on that. And one thing I also wanted to mention is that they don't they obviously want answers, but if you don't have a proper answer, it is better to say sorry, I am not sure about that, rather than saying something else about that, because they're going to cross question you on that topic, and that may make you feel a step aback, and that may put you under pressure. So if you don't know something, it is better to say sorry, I'm not sure about that, or I don't know about that thing as of now. So that would be better for you, rather than speaking something which is not pretty much good about that topic.
Hmm. Perfect. Anybody
So,
else want to add?
yes. So, sir, there is a misconception that in interview, anything under the sun can be asked. And let
Hmm.
me tell you, this is not very true. As Parag said, you can drive your interview. There are hooks
Yeah.
that you can put. I mean, how you design your CV and how you introduce yourself. That is the key thing that will play the major role, how your PI will go forward. Also, uh, don't be very negative about some stance. Maybe if there are wars going on, if there is something, anything, don't be very negative. I feel that they do not like that kind of stuff. Uh, then hand gesture. So this is something that you told us. Hand
Hmm.
gesture. I mean, just don't sit like this and no.
Hmm.
Use few hand gestures, not haywire, just few, thoda thoda. That would make the conversation engaging. And always keep a smile on your face. I mean, this is very obvious, but at the time of interview, everyone tends to forget that because everyone is tense. So keeping a smile is very important. So that's it.
Hmm. Perfect day, guys. I won't extend it anymore. But अगर आपके पास, if anybody wants to kind of sum it up, more than happy. I think I'm done from my side. Thank you so very much, guys, for joining and giving 45 minutes. Means a lot. I know you all are busy. It's a hectic schedule. So I'm not going to ask about C2C का program कैसा था वगैरह वगैरह. I think शांतनु ने cover करा, help किया. Harshita, Akshay, Parag, Rajul, Shantanu, and Shubhra Jyoti. Now I'll say Shubhra Jyoti, not Shubhra. Thank you so very much for joining in. And guys, you will see them in C2C also. They will be there to mentor you, to guide you for your mock PIs, mock Gs. This time we will be having SMHRD and SIBM Pune group all together different, and will be trained and mentored differently. So would love to see you guys in the Zoom sessions also. And I wish you all the very best. Have fun. अभी एग्जाम आ रहा होगा ना तुम्हारा, या फिर हो गया सब कुछ? सेकंड ईयर, फर्स्ट ईयर नहीं कुछ?
चल रहा
चल रहा है.
चलते रहते
चलते रहते हो.
चलते रहता है सर, continuous assessment.
ठीक है यार, गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर टेकिंग सम टाइम आउट फॉर मी. मींस अ लॉट. एंड गाइस, इनके लिए थोड़ा कमेंट मारो अच्छे से, प्यार से, एंड डू फॉलो अस. थैंक यू गाइस, थैंक यू सो मच. टेक केयर. बाय बाय. बाय एवरीवन. गुड नाइट. बाय बाय.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Good night.